Good day, everyone. So this video will show you and explain to you how to create servlets in your Eclipse and also what is meant by servlet. All right. So just want to focus on the servlet introduction and also how to create and running the servlet and how to set up the servlet in Eclipse. All right, so let's start. What is meant by servlet? Actually, servlet provide a component-based, platform-independent method for building web-based application without the performance limitation of CGI program. Okay, servlets have access to the entire family of Java APIs, including the JDBC API to access enterprise database. A servlet can almost be thought of as an applet that runs on the server side without a face, meaning that servlets is a middle things or middle API or middleware between client and also the server. Okay, it will handle all the requests from the client and pass the request to the server to manage or to provide what are the requests from the client, and then the server will pass it back the result to the server, and the server will pass it to the client, right? So Java servlets are programs that run on a web or application server and act as a middle layer, like I said before, between a request coming from a web browser, actually from the client or other HTTP client, and databases or application on the HTTP server. So location of the server is in the middle between client and also the server. So when you're using the servlet, actually you can collect input from users through web page forms or present records from a database or another source, and also create web pages dynamically. Means why it is said as dynamic. So there is response or action between the client and also the server. So it's not from the single side only, but it has a communication between both side, client and also a server. Okay, so what are the advantages of the servlet? Instead of using CGI, or also known as Common Gateway Interface, okay, so the performance is significantly better compared to CGI. And then servlet execute within the address space of web server. It is not necessary to create a separate process to handle each client request. Okay, number 3, servlet are platform independent because they are written in Java. So any platform that are written using Java can implement servlet. Okay, Java Security Manager on the server enforces a set of restrictions to protect the resources on a server machine. Means what? When you apply servlets, it's more trusted. Okay, it has a security to protect the data. And then the full functionality of the Java class library is available to a servlet. So it can communicate with the applet, the databases, or other software via the sockets and remote method invocation mechanism. Okay, in this case is for the distribution purposes lah. Okay. So this slide shows you the servlet architecture. Where is the location of the servlet? So as you can see here, okay, between the client and also the databases or server. So servlet will locate in the middle between this client and also server. Okay. And then another architecture. Okay, let's say client want to request something from the database. Okay, it requests through the HTML form, and then Java servlet will handle the request from the client and will do some processes. Okay, and then respond the request from the client and then pass it back to the client. So at the left side, okay, so this is the HTTP client browser. It requests to the servlet here. Okay. Servlet then go to the web XML to process whatsoever client want to display or want to access the data, and then we'll pass it back to the server or servlet. Then servlet will pass it back to the client. Okay. Okay, so what are the servlet's tasks? Okay, we read the explicit data sent by the client. Okay, and then read the implicit HTTP request data sent by the client also. Then it will process the data and generate the result. What does the client needs? Okay, and then send explicit data to the clients and also send the implicit HTTP response to the clients, meaning that servlet is purposely created to handle the request from the client and then access whatsoever or process whatsoever requests of the client from the data base of server. Okay, so what are the servlet packages? In order for you to use the servlet, so you need to include some packages. Okay, so Java servlet are Java classes run by a web server that has an interpreter that supports the Java servlet specification. So you can create the servlets by using javax.servlet and javax.servlet.http packages. Okay, actually, these two packages are the standard packages offered by the Java. Okay, and then an expanded version of the Java class library that support large-scale development projects. Okay, then these classes implement the Java servlet and JSP specification. It also can support JSP, Java server pages. Okay, and then current version is Servlet 4, released on September 2007 at Java EE 8. Okay, so when you want to use the servlet, so Java servlet has been created and compiled. So you need to compile the Java servlet first. Okay, and then after you install the servlet packages and add them to the computer class path, you can compile servlet with the JDK Java compiler or any other current compiler. Means you need to install the Java servlets inside your compiler or your IDE. Okay, when you want to implement servlet technology. Okay, so creating and running servlets, how to set up the servlet. Okay, a development environment is where you will develop your servlet, test the servlet, and finally run the servlet. So you need to compile a servlet by using Java compiler. So first of all, before you want the servlet to be executed or function, so you need to compile it first to avoid error in your project. So there are several steps need to be followed. Okay, so alternatively, so you can use any IDE such as Eclipse or Poland or NetBeans or whatsoever IDE that can support servlets. Okay, and then compile and run simple program to confirm that that IDE can support or knows where you install the servlet packages. Okay, so in this case, in this class, we use Apache Tomcat. So the servlet can be accessed or can be get from the Apache Tomcat folder that you have stored into your drive. Okay, so I provide to you some steps that you may follow. Okay, so first of all, we already create, you need to make sure that you already create your project. Okay, and then we need to call the servlet inside your project. So in this case, first step, you need to right click at your project first, go to properties and choose Java build path. Choose library tab, click class path and add external jar. Okay, so when you add the external jar, the Eclipse will ask you where to find your servlet API.jar. So just choose the servlet API.jar, then click open and apply. Okay. Okay, so you also have another step to set up your servlet. So I also provide to you, so you can refer to this step after this. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So I skip this setup Tomcat server because we already set up the Tomcat server when we create our HTML file before. All right. So now we want to look how to test our IDE by using servlet.api. Okay. So first of all, you need to create your own project. Okay, let's say intro to servlet here. Okay, same, use the web dynamic web project and then name your project. Okay, so then create one HTML file, name your file and write something into your file. And you have to make sure in your HTML file must has the tag form here, in order for us to test the servlet that we have created or set before. Okay, so then after we have finished creating the HTML file, just right click the project that you have created and run on server to look at the output. Okay, so after you have created the HTML file, you need to write the servlet file in order for us to test the servlet whether it can process the HTML file or not. So how to create the servlet file? Okay, so inside your project, intro to servlet just now, okay, and then you choose new and then go to option servlet. Okay, do not choose HTML file. Then name your servlet file. Let's say in this case as welcome. Okay, here welcome. Okay, and then please write this code. Okay, so meaning that after after you have created HTML and then the form has proceed to the servlet file. So this servlet file will process whatsoever request that the HTML wanted to. Okay, and then make sure there is no error, and then you right click and choose run on server. Okay, all right. Okay, so this example, another example, how to implement the servlet. Okay, you can try after this. Okay, thank you.